YouTube! Today I have here a really big subwoofer. It is a B2 Audio X2SIX and the 6 stands for a 6-inch voice coil. I will be explaining some of the features and later on this video I will be showing some of the excursion test I made with it and the parameters I calculated with DATS V2. So first of all, at first glance, this is probably one of the biggest subwoofers I've ever seen. I've seen a big Sundown Audio subwoofers and big digital design subwoofers, but the magnet and the motor force here and the 6-inch voice coil is just bigger is better. Or is it? First of all, they say that this has been made without compromises, and I think that too. Now, this is made for musical. Not especially for SPL. Musical driver that can handle a lot of wattages. First of all, if I tilt it around like so, you can see the big dust cap there. It has a carbon fiber dust cap with a not a glossy finish but a matte finish and with a nice B2 Audio logo. And then the upper surround here is just kind of a normal that you can see on everyday subwoofers. Just normal foam. Upper surround all around, but I see no glue stains everywhere. Everything is precise, everything is aligned properly. Everything looks okay onto the top and also underneath. Then when we go a little bit further, you can see here it has a paper cone, not a carbon fiber or Kevlar. Paper cone is pretty good for usage in musical subwoofers. On the Kevlar and carbon fiber ones tend to be a bit too tight or too flexible, but this paper cone here can easily handle up to like 160, 170 decibels, so with one subwoofer it will be just probably fine. It is a pressed paper cone, and when I look a little bit down here, I did not see any glittering or anything, so it is probably just a paper cone, not with a fiberglass inside, also to add some rigidity. Now the basket is a B2 Audio owned basket. It has a nice B2 Audio stamp underneath here, and it is really thick. Now normal these kind of subwoofers, big subwoofers tend to have a little bit lighter frame for the cost issues, but this has no compromises on the thickness of the cast aluminium here. Now this also is around like 1 centimeter thick or more, and underneath here it is even more thicker. It is really solid and good basket for the subwoofer. Underneath here you can see only a single layer of a red spiders. Now I thought about it along why this should have only a single set of spiders. Now basically this subwoofer is meant to be a good sounding subwoofer, sound quality wise good sound subwoofer, and also handle big X-Max, so big Excursion, and handle a lot of power. Now this red spider that they are using is high quality spider. Actually these are really expensive spiders compared to the other cheaper one, black spiders or the yellow ones that has been used over the years. From the voice coil comes 3 minus and 3 plus leads, so they have really much of a surface area for the amazing 6000 watts that this can handle in RMS wattage, and peak wattage, I think it was around 24,000 watts. So with only one subwoofer you can feed up to 24,000 watts inside. Now that should be only in burps, but in musical you can feed a 6,000 watts to the subwoofer. That is really amazing. Now the big voice coil, 6-inch voice coil, is flat aluminium voice coil, and it is really sleek and slidey to the touch and has a nice glare on it, and it's already black. Now that doesn't mean that it's already burnt. It means that it has a lac that has been used is high temperature lac, so it will handle a lot of power and a lot of heat. Now the motor structure here, it has 8 of these neodymium blocks. And there are two kind of ways of neodymium subwoofers. One of these normal types, I think they are normal type that they have big backplate, big top plate, and the motor force is in between, so the magnetic force transfers into the thick top plate that is near to the coil, and that gives the oomph for the voice coil to move. But the other way is to have neodymium blocks near the voice coil, which is a bit trickier to make. Now this has been used a nice big hexagons all the way through screws here, bolts actually, 8 of them all around. So this is really nicely held together with also some glue underneath and on top of the neodymium magnets. Now this kind of magnet is very this kind of motor is really open wide, so this backplate has a more than enough cooling. Actually these cooling holes are totally useless as the motor is not closed. Only thing that the big central hole does is when the dust cap underneath the dust cap builds up some air pressure when the subwoofer is moving, and it cools out really easily from here, and you can have like 3-inch hole back in here. Now normal subwoofers has that 3-inch voice coil, and this has a bottom hole of 3-inch. That explains a lot why this can handle so much wattage. So 6000 watts, 24,000 peaks. Just really amazing. The terminal here are just nice big push terminals. There you can fit like actually I think around 20mm can be easily fit here. 8 square millimeter is totally fine, but probably 16 to 20, maybe a little bit more. You can use a really big wires in here. And when I tried it in a little bit, I started with around 30 Hertz, and I noticed that the amperage that was going into voice coil was quite high. So I started to lower it, and actually this already was at around 22, 23, the FS in big Excursion. And it settled down to 21. So this is driven in, and actually the suspensions are quite loose, so I can easily push it with my hand like so. And it took a really nice Excursion when I tested it out. Now I only test at point where the mechanical sound starts to hear. That's because some of the subwoofers, when you are going to the X-mech, so the maximum movement of the moving parts, you can break something. Now this cost 3,499 euros. It is a lot of money, so I don't want to break it. So I only, with these reviews, I only take the subwoofers to the point where mechanical sounds can be heard. Now on the, if it's in enclosure you cannot hear them, but usually the spiders here or the tinsel leads down here starts to make a little bit shuffling noise, or the voice coil starts a little bit rub here and there. This only had a little bit of shuffling noise when I went like up to 5-6 centimeters of Excursion. Now the 6-inch voice coil with a 6 centimeter Excursion was really nice to see, and you can see it in our Instagram and the Facebook page. Quite a lot of people has already shared the video. It was really nice to make. Really thank you for you to sharing the video, and I will be putting some videos very soon here on this video, so you can see the Excursion of this subwoofer in use. Now the parameters I tested with, they are actually quite nice. So FS is around, I think it was 25, 26 ish. So it's quite low, so you can play like very low notes with this. Now when you go underneath the subwoofer's FS, the motor force starts to little bit of breaking the movement of the coil, because it wants to be played over the FS frequency. Now you cannot hear the difference, but if you play like if this was a 21 Hertz of FS in big movement, I play like 16 Hertz. Now if I record it with a microphone, and I can see from the linearity of the cone movement that the subwoofer is trying to do something, because it is lower, the frequency I'm playing is lower than the subwoofer has the FS. resonance frequency. So it gives a little bit more distortion, audible distortion underneath the FS resonant frequency, but everything over it will be just linear and nice. So this subwoofer will play from 20 Hz something up to like as high as you can as high as you can realistically can play. So let's say up to 60 Hz, 70 Hz. I'm not necessarily suggesting this subwoofer to be used in SPL like over 60, 70, 80 Hz. On the datasheet it says that it can play from 10 Hz up to 500 Hz, but playing this kind of subwoofer in the range of mid-range sounds is quite dumb. So, conclusion of the subwoofer, it is a really big subwoofer. The parameters look great. It took a really nice Excursion, and actually when I play it with a high Excursion, it drew only like 5 amperage. So usually this has a double 0.8 ohm voice coil, so I hooked it in parallel, so it was around 0.4 ohms with a 4000 watt amplifier, and only got in like 5 to 6 amps when the Excursion was peaked. So that tells me that this is a really high efficient motor and really easy to move suspensions. Now with a big voice coil like this, DATS V2 estimated that it weighs around 700 grams. So that's almost like a 1 liter of milk moving here 30 to 50 to 60 times a second up and down 5 centimeters. The amount of force that this motor can move is amazing with just a little bit of amperage, like 5 amps inside in 21 Hz with Excursion of like 6 centimeters. And it just performed really well. Now I'm very pleased that I had the privilege to show the subwoofer here and to get used to in this kind of technology. This is actually I think this is the most expensive subwoofer I have ever touched my hands in, but wow, just amazing craftsmanship and really nice, pleasuring to the eye. So what do you think about B2 Audio X2SIX? Is it overpriced? 3,499 euros. I think it's really not, because the motor is amazing. 6-inch voice coil. Now the voice coil is bigger than, well, I don't actually know, maybe one subwoofer Peerless, I think it had 8-inch voice coil, but the motor structure was different. The magnet, it was inside the voice coil, not outside like this. But that said, this subwoofer with the price of 3,499 is now only for Finnish people, I'm afraid. But you can come to Finland and buy this at -20%. Now this will be on sale on our local shop, HifiStore, www.hifistore.fi, with a price of 3,499 minus 20%. Only this subwoofer. This is the only one in Finland. And I touched it. Yeah. It's here. I review it. I'm really happy to have this one here. Really amazing subwoofer. A dream subwoofer for me. But it is really expensive. I really cannot afford it. So I need to give it back to the shop. I took it and I had the pleasure to driven it in and test it out. Really amazing craftsmanship. I mean, whoever thinks about putting a 6-inch voice coil into subwoofer and making it X-Max to the 45mm range. A high Excursion, really big power handling, 6,000 watts. Everything is just out of the box, really out of this world. Better quality than most of the subwoofers. Though this has seen some life, this subwoofer, it has been on display for at least a year now in different kind of places, so it has little scratches here and there. It's not perfect anymore, but the internals and the structure, everything is still flawless, and the looks of it looks really great. What do you think about B2 Audio X2SIX? Is it overpriced? Is it best of the best? Is it the beast? Is it a beast in sheep's clothing? I really like this black and white contrast with a little bit of red. and the also well, I really like everything in the subwoofer. Only thing I hate that it weighs so damn much. Now, this was B2 Audio. Like if you like, dislike if you dislike, and leave a comment what do you think about the subwoofer. Now let's see the excursion tests and the parameters. And I will see you on the next video. Bye bye!